like you're now a global brand.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest market to get into to deliver on those two things?
Yeah, do you know what? I think people, especially from this country, just think the US is one country. It's Europe, right? It's like however many states.
It's so nuanced by it, yeah.
100%.
So many
You go from
idiosyncrasies.
Cali,
Yeah.
which is like really socialist, down to like Texas. They have completely different cultures. You know, you go across to New York and it's completely different. And it's so nuanced state by state. And really thinking, and we did it in the early days, like we were just like, right, we're going to market to America. Before Denny joined, 50% of our sales were North America, but we were D2C.
Whereabouts in America was it, or was it like pockets, or was it?
Like there were really sort of like accelerated pockets, like New York State. Pizza's obviously a big thing in New York.
Yeah.
Cali weather, and Texas weather and culture around cooking outdoors with food. But like we had a really interesting spread. Also like Washington State up near Seattle, you know, there's affluence, there's a big outdoor lifestyle, you know, people really enjoy. There's lots of good restaurants, people want to buy into quality products and stuff like that. So those have been really compelling states for us, yeah.
But in terms of, you said like, in terms of delivering those things, obsession with consumer, and like how we actually build this out with Denny, like what was the hardest state to get into and how did you crack that?
Do you know what? That's a really interesting question. I guess, you know, we've got a sort of like overarching North American wholesale and D2C strategy anyway. Some markets perform better than others. I guess like the key thing that we're trying to do is at the rate that we're growing and basically being a bootstrap business. You know, we've never done a true Series A, Series B. We've sort of like bootstrapped it on the journey. So I guess like being really strategic about how you tackle key states one at a time, so you don't spread yourself too thin and dilute your impact in those states is something that's really interesting. You know, I think America's just a fucking beast, right? It's an absolute beast. So we've gone into strategic retail partnerships that are bearing like significant fruit. I guess one of the core things that Denny's really done as well, like what I was really adamant on this, but like we said no to going into any retail partners before the North American team joined. I was so transfixed with protecting the brand from how it was presented in retail, you know, like how people are selling it, how people are talking about us, that it was probably to our detriment in a degree, the fact that I was so focused on protecting the brand and the word that I didn't want anyone else doing a shit job of representing it. So we actually just didn't go into wholesale. And I think that's another thing that Denny has done so well. He's so intrinsically connected to the brand and how to remain premium, how to remain exclusive, that we say no to more people than we say yes to.
That's such a really good point, actually, that I haven't really talked about. I think being able to change your mind and like because sometimes not change your mind and ego are like two things that people battle with. I think real kind of openness and being able to like, what was the last thing you changed your mind on is a question I love, but like, what other things have you changed your mind on since starting?
I do it all the time, man. Do you know what?
Like what are the big ones, do you think?
Yeah, let me think. Some of them are more recent, which I probably can't talk about. But, you know, like, if I revert that back, right, to the core emphasis and the core root of some of the qualities that I've got of being able to be an entrepreneur and evolve and learn. When I left rehab, Oliver, my pastor, said, Tom, you know, you'll do incredibly you'll do incredibly in life. You just need to remain humble and kind, you know, and that was like, that statement just stuck with me. So like on my journey, and this isn't directly related, but like humility is so unbelievably important to me. And that's something that I've really battled with as the company's gained more traction. I'm like building out my personal brand or my personal positioning, that like notion of self-promotion, like edging into arrogance, edging into ego, like where's the fucking balance? And actually, you know, there's this overarching notion that, you know, the journey that I've gone on from being a drug addict to building an idea, to building a business is like an incredibly inspirational journey for a lot of people that don't have qualifications, that are told constantly that they can't achieve shit, they shouldn't quit their jobs, they've got to be in a mundane shit existence for the rest of their lives. It's just not fucking true. And like, I'm proof of that. But I think, you know, on my journey, I've been like a fucking sponge, man. I'm literally a sponge. I like I will take all the key nuggets that you've given me today. They will be lodged in my head. I will think about them. I'll reflect on them. And I guess that's the, like, having humility and being open. You know, I remember in the early days when we professionalized the business, probably in 2016, I would sit in a board and I would pretend that I knew everything, and I would pretend that I got an answer for everything if I didn't really know. And now I sit in a boardroom with incredibly smart people and I'm like, what the fuck does that word mean that you've just said? I don't know what that word is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the smart answer lies in the dumb question, and people are too scared to ask dumb questions, especially in school, because they basically castigate you for asking dumb questions. That's another interesting dichotomy as well. It's more from like a leadership perspective, I suppose. It's like being able to change your mind or like being open to change your mind, but then obviously probably balancing with that with like, especially from the brand side, is like being like, I ain't changing my mind on this. Like, I think there's
knowing when to like hold your ground.
Yeah, because it's like there's a difference between business decisions and brand decisions.
100%.
Like, and I think that something will like I was down in Bristol the other day. We did a supper club. You know, I was saying sunny stores, banging restaurant, does good pizza as well actually. And he was like, we make our in-house this like mascarpone pudding thing, like we actually lose money on it, but from the brand, like I get out of bed every morning because I want to make this and it makes the dish better. And it's like some of those things, like people agonize over brand decisions that a lot of business people are like, well, surely just do that because we're going to cut costs. Espressos is sponsored by supply chain software gurus Unleashed. It talks to your e-com and accounting software. It's helped Islands cut admin time in half, get granular clarity on your margins, know where your stock is. Don't miss availability. Brands like Candy Kittens, Tiny Rebel, and Trip all use Unleashed, and so should you.